day to all of you. We are going to tackle about the methods of collecting data. This video tutorial gonna help you what are the types of methods of collecting data. So the first one is observational study. The second one is experiment. Next is simulation, and the last one is survey. So here's the first one.
For this video, I want to talk to you about methods of collecting data. So the first method that I want to talk to you is about observational study. An observational study is when a researcher observes and measures characteristics of interest of part of a population. With observational studies, they can be short and they could be a few minutes of observing or could be something that takes place over a long period of time. There are observational studies taking go on for longer than 50 years, and really important in those type of observational studies that whoever is doing the study leaves the information for the next person has to take over. So, observational studies can be both retrospective and prospective. A retrospective observational study observes data that happened in the past. This would be historian trying to make sense that something that happened in the past. Archaeologists could be trying to make conclusions about the past civilizations based on the data and information that they find. A prospective observational study is something that starts right now and studies a group for a set period of time. Like I said, it could be something very short or something that go on for many numbers of years. So, an example of this, a group of researchers give a sample of 4th graders a puzzle and observe how the students approach solving it. I know that a lot of students that sometimes get confused with observational studies versus experiment, because experiment also involve observing all of the other methods of collecting data will have some type of observation, but they have manipulation or something else going on with it. In observational study, you don't manipulate it at all. In simply just going and observing things in natural habit.
Our second method of collecting data is experiment. Experiment is a treatment that applied to a part of the participants called treatment group, and responses are observed. Another part of the participants are used as a control group in which no treatment is applied. The subject in both groups are called experimental units. In many cases, subjects in the control group are given a placebo, which is a harmless fake treatment that is made to look like the real treatment. Example, a pain medicine study was designed where half of the participants received 5 milligrams of the active ingredients and the other half was given placebo that look identical.
Our next method of collecting data is a simulation. This will use a mathematical or physical model to reproduce the condition of a situation or process. Most of the time, we do this using computers, and this allows you to study situations that are impractical or could be dangerous to create in real life. Simulation can save time and money. An example of this would be a car manufacturer using crash test dummies to simulate the impact on the driver if there were a car accident. And they can use various types of impacts. It could be a side impact. It could be head-on collision. But it's unethical to take a human and throw them into a car and slam them into a wall and see if they survive. So, we would use crash test dummies to simulate the impacts that would be done on the human body. There's a lot of receptors that go into place with this. Tesla and other autonomous vehicles would have to use something like this to get their cars to be able to drive safely without a human controlling the vehicle. Other example of simulation would be if you are a hurricane glass manufacturer, you have to make sure that the glass can withstand the high winds and debris being flung at it. So, you would have to use simulation to make sure that the glass does stay as one piece if it were involved in a hurricane. You don't want to just put it in there. Another example might be air traffic control. You would want to use a simulation to try new air traffic control patterns because this is something that you don't want to be at a busy airport and decide, okay, what happens if I change the simulation or change the flight path? Because it could cause crashes and it could be catastrophic. So, simulation, like I said, usually will use computers and it is important way of gathering data for things that are unsafe to do in a real world situation.
For this video, I want to talk about methods of collecting data. So the fourth method that I want to talk about is known as a survey. So what is a survey? According to my research, a survey is to ask or question by many people or a series of questions in order to gather information about what most people do or think something about.
One of an example of survey is you have to win something or you can give a free product so the next time you come back you can purchase. In survey method, there are a lot of position bias. One is a position is the wording of your question. You do not want you do it anyway that could make it either negative or positive depending upon on your expense. Be careful to make sure that you do not use biased question for asking question, and things can be done live when offering the interview. It could be something comes you to offer the internet. You can have a phone call, or sometimes you can receive even an email of survey. Is a lot of times there are a large part of population that will not fill them out, and so this non-response bias because there are people just refuse to respond sometimes and making interview. Some people not being honest about how they respond to the question.
That's all for today. I hope you understand. I hope it helps you a lot. And I hope you learn something from it. That's all. Thank you. God bless.